Hello Dragonflies. Today's story is about a little girl. Her name is Katie and she visits an art gallery with her grandmother and something amazing happens. It's written by James Mayhew. Let's have a look and see what happens. Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. "Never mind," said Grandma. "The rain will make everything grow." "But what shall we do now?" said Katie. "Let's go to the gallery," said Grandma. "You always have fun there." When they arrived, Grandma sat down to rest. So Katie went off by herself to look around. Now remember, Dragonflies, this is a story using our imagination. If you went anywhere, you would have to stay with your adult and your adult would stay with you. But this is a story, so anything can happen here. The gallery was full of warm, sunny pictures. And Katie liked a painting called Sunflowers. It was painted by an artist called Vincent van Gogh. The sunflowers looked dry and crunchy and were full of seeds. "Perhaps I could grow the seeds in my garden," said Katie. She slowly reached out and found she could touch them. But Katie knocked the vase and it wobbled and fell right out of the picture, spilling the sunflowers onto the floor. "Oh no," said Katie. "I'd better clear up this mess before anybody sees it." Just then, Katie heard someone laughing. She looked around and there was nobody else in the room. The laughter was coming from a painting called Breton Girls Dancing by Paul Gauguin. "What's so funny?" said Katie, climbing inside. Katie saw that she was beside a farm. The girls, who were called Maisie, Musette and Mimi, giggled and pointed to the mess in the gallery. "You'll be in trouble if anyone finds out," Mimi said. "Well, I didn't mean to knock over the vase," said Katie. "I don't suppose you could help me to clear it all up." "We're too tired," said Maisie. "We've been dancing all day," said Musette. "Well, what about you?" Katie said to Mimi. "Well, only if I can bring my little dog, Zazu," said Mimi, picking up her dog. "Well, I suppose that's all right. Let's go." So they went through the frame and back into the gallery. Mimi and Katie gathered up the sunflowers, but Zazu wanted to play. He snatched the sunflowers away in his mouth and ran off with them. "How can we put the picture back together now?" said Katie crossly. "I'm sorry, mon ami," said Mimi. "Let's try to catch him." They chased Zazu, but he was too quick for them. He suddenly took a flying leap towards a painting called Café Terrasse at Night by Vincent van Gogh and disappeared inside the picture. Katie and Mimi jumped in after him. Zazu refused to let go of the sunflowers. He darted in and out of the tables and chairs, knocking plates and cups flying. You wouldn't be a very happy person if you were sitting in that cafe, would you? And a dog was running around loose. Then Zazu ran between the waiter's legs. "Zut alors," said the waiter, dropping a plate of iced cakes. He was very angry. He chased Katie and Mimi and Zazu right through the frame and back into the gallery. "What are we going to do?" panted Mimi. "I've got an idea," said Katy, pointing to a painting by Paul Cézanne. It was called Still Life with Apples and Oranges. Come on, I need your help. Katy put her hand onto the painting and grabbed one end of a cloth. She told Mimi to do the same. Now pull, yelled Katy. The bowls of fruit tipped up and apples and oranges came tumbling into the gallery just as the waiter caught up with them. He slipped on the fruit and spun around until he was dizzy. Zut alors, he yelled. I wonder where Zazu went, said Mimi. We must be here somewhere, said Katy, and they dashed away. Alas, said Mimi, I shall never find him and he'll be lost in the gallery forever. Oh, nonsense, said Katy. I can hear a dog barking. They followed the noise, and there, at the end of the corridor, was Zazu. He had dropped the sunflowers and was barking at a bright red dog in a painting called Tahitian Pastorals by Paul Gauguin. The other dog barked back and Zazu jumped inside the picture. Your dog is nothing but trouble, said Katy as they clambered after him. Zazu and the red dog barked at one another. They were wagging their tails, and two very beautiful women said, Welcome to our island. It was very peaceful and full of scented lilies and blossom, with the sea lapping up onto the beach. Phew, said Katy. It's very hot. Should we go for a paddle? While Zazu and the red dog ran about on the seas and the sand, Katy and Mimi splashed around in the sea. Zazu was busy. He was digging a hole when all of a sudden he disappeared. Where's he gone? Said Mimi. Katy looked into the hole. It was very large. Right at the bottom, she saw Zazu sitting on the top of a big chest. Mimi and Katy slowly opened the lid. It was full of golden coins. Pirate treasure, said Katy, showing the women. What will you do with it? We don't use money on our island. We have everything we need, they said. You can have it if you want. Katy took handfuls of coins and thanked the women. Then she and Mimi and Zazu went through the frame and back into the gallery. Katy quickly picked up the sunflowers before Zazu could grab them again. We better put these back, she said. Which way is it? I'm not sure, mon ami, said Mimi. I think we're lost. Then they saw Zazu sniffing at something on the ground. Sunflower seeds, said Katy. Zazu's left a trail of them. Clever dog, I'm glad he came after all. Mimi gathered Zazu up in her arms, and they followed the trail of sunflower seeds back to the Cézanne Still Life. And they carefully put all the fruit back and then went on to the cafe picture by Vincent van Gogh. The waiter was standing there with a piece of paper in his hand. It's a bill, said Mimi, for the cakes and everything. Katy dug into her pocket and took out the golden coins. Is that enough? She said to the waiter. Merci, he said, looking very pleased. You may eat cakes here whenever you want. And he climbed back into the picture. Then Katy and Mimi followed the seeds back to the sunflower picture. Katy collected a few seeds and wrapped them in her handkerchief and put them back in her coat pocket. Then she carefully put the sunflowers back into the frame. Almost as good as new, said Katy. Thanks for coming with me. I'm glad I did, mon ami. It was fun. And she hopped into her picture with Zazu. Katy ran off to find her grandma, who was just waking up. Shall we see if it stopped raining, Grandma said. It hadn't, but Katy didn't mind. Rain is good for the garden, she said. It will make everything grow. And that's the end of the story. A magical story about a famous painting called The Sunflowers. You might see sunflowers growing in the garden. You might be growing some yourself. We're growing some in Dragonfly at the moment. Enjoy the story, and I'll see you next time.